Chapter 61 Winter Soldier with One Punch. Previous chapter list next chapter. Hydra Lair. This is the devil, no matter how you attack it, it won't work. God, am I dreaming? How could there be such a person? In the base of Hydra, the soldiers of Hydra looked terrified and looked at Li Wei, who kept approaching. They shot Li Wei frantically, but it was of no use. Even if a variety of weapons are used, the result is still the same. Wrapped around the blue flame of regeneration, Li Wei has no scars at all. This makes Hydra's soldiers feel that Li Wei is like a devil. In fact, the Phoenix Fruit's regeneration inflammation ability is really domineering. Li Wei, who is wrapped in the inflammation of regeneration, only feels the whole body warm, without the slightest pain. This is a very novel experience. But Li Wei had no thoughts, and slowly played with these Hydra soldiers. There are too many mosquitoes, it will also be annoying. Li Wei snorted coldly, clenched his palms into a fist, and blasted a punch to the front. Click! The atmosphere shattered like a mirror and turned into a terrifying shock, instantly blasting towards the soldiers of Hydra. With a loud bang, all the Hydra soldiers in front of Li Wei were wiped out by this blow. What's more, cracks appeared on the walls of Hydra base, crumbling, and there is the possibility of collapse at any time. This is the situation where Li Wei has slightly reduced his strength, otherwise the entire base may really be destroyed. However, Li Wei didn't even look at it, and went straight to the deeper part of the base. Kill all the way. Almost no one can stop Li Wei's footsteps. Soon, Li Wei came to the deepest part of the Hydra base. The deepest part of the Hydra base is a laboratory. The rudimentary version of the arc reactor stolen from the body of Yvonne Vank is in the laboratory. Several figures in black clothes are standing in the laboratory, waiting for the arrival of Li Wei. These are the top executives of Hydra. The leader is an old man in a suit who is in his 50s. The old man stood in the laboratory, looking at Li Wei with an angry expression. Behind the old man is a tall figure wearing a black hat and tightly dressed. Meeting for the first time, former S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Pierce. Li Wei looked at the old man with a smile. When viewing Hydra's information before, Li Wei had read this old man's information. This is Pierce, who was originally lurking in SHIELD. He was the person who helped Nick Fury back then, and was also a big boss of Hydra. Before Hydra was exposed, Pierce disappeared. I didn't expect to be here. It seems that this time, he really caught a big fish. Li Wei Stark, I didn't expect you to unite with Nick Fury. In order to deal with us, you actually came up with such a vicious conspiracy, it's really damn it. Pierce looked angry and stared at Li Wei closely. He naturally knows who Li Wei is. There was a time when they Hydra and Li Wei had some holidays. According to their thoughts, they did not trouble Li Wei, which is good enough. As a result, this nasty guy actually combined with Nick Fury to give them a set. Pierce was very angry and regretted not killing Li Wei at the beginning. This is not a conspiracy, but an upright conspiracy. What you should blame is your greed. If you weren't so greedy, maybe I couldn't find your nest yet. Li Wei smiled lightly, not paying attention to Pierce's anger at all. If they were not greedy and wanted to seize the arc reaction furnace, Li Wei would not come to him. So, they should blame themselves for this. Li Wei, don't force us, you know, we have existed for so many years, and it is not without cards. If you really want to make things happen, don't blame us and you die together. Pierce is still threatening Li Wei, as if he still has some whole cards in his hand. However, Li Wei doesn't eat this set at all. He came today to destroy them, how could he still give them a chance? With a sneer, Li Wei walked directly to Pierce and the others. "Damn lunatic! Come on! Kill him!" Pierce yelled angrily, then turned to give orders to the tall figure who was wearing a black hat and tightly dressed behind him. The tall figure got the order and moved instantly. The coat opened, revealing a tall man. The man is of strong build, wearing a black mask, and a silver robotic arm in his left hand. He looks stiff and rushes directly to Li Wei. The mechanical arm made of special metal directly hit Li Wei. "This is Winter Soldier." Li Wei's eyes turned slightly, and he instantly guessed the identity of the other party. Hydra's camp, as well as such a metal arm, should be Captain America's good friend Bucky Barnes back then. Also known as the Winter Soldier, or Winter Soldier. Bucky Barnes was taken down by Hydra and transformed into the Winter Soldier. He was brainwashed by them and became the perfect killer of Hydra. And now, Winter Soldier was dispatched by Hydra in advance. In this way, the good friends of Winter Soldier and Captain America, the situation is really a bit similar. They have been frozen in the past, and they are all born in advance. But now Hydra is almost destroyed by Li Wei. Pierce can't worry about other problems, and can only send Winter Soldier out to deal with Li Wei's invasion. However, they had one thing wrong. With the strength of Winter Soldier, it is not Li Wei's opponent at all. "Just a Winter Soldier wants to block me, do you think too much?" Li Wei snorted coldly, his arms wrapped around him. A layer of armament haki was wrapped around, facing the Winter Soldier who was rushing over, and blasted his fists directly. Armed and hardened. Boom! Li Wei's fist and Winter Soldier's mechanical arm collided fiercely. The next moment, Winter Soldier's body was blasted away in an instant, hitting the wall fiercely, and several cracks appeared directly on the wall. With one move, Li Wei directly hammered the Winter Soldier. Chapter 62 Pierce's Whole Card. Previous chapter list next chapter. For Hydra, they have always been eager to get super soldiers like Captain America. Because once super soldiers can be copied, they will exist in the battlefield without any disadvantage. But the birth of Captain America has a lot of chance and it is difficult to replicate. Over the years, they have struggled to make a similar copy. That is Winter Soldier. Like Captain America, Winter Soldier's body has been remodeled and has been brainwashed many times, making it the most perfect soldier. But Li Wei faced Winter Soldier, and even Devil Fruit ability didn't need to use it. With armament haki alone, the Winter Soldier flew directly. This situation is simply unacceptable for Pierce. Pierce's eyes widened, staring at the scene in shock. To be honest, Pierce also learned about Li Wei, through the battle between Li Wei and Hulk. So Pierce had already prepared for it, knowing that Winter Soldier might not be able to defeat Li Wei. All he wanted was Winter Soldier to hold Li Wei. But what he didn't expect was that Winter Soldier couldn't even take a punch from Li Wei. This situation made Pierce a little panicked. No way, Winter Soldier can't stop that guy. Let the monster out of the iron prison. Pierce looked solemn and said to a bald man in a suit next to him. Do you really want to let the monster come out? If we let it go, we might accidentally hurt ourselves. The man in the bald suit was slightly worried, and was not willing to let the monster out. You know, in order to catch that monster, they paid a great price. What's more, that monster has not been completely controlled yet. Once released, it may cause huge amounts of trouble, and maybe they will be eaten back. It can be said that the monster in Pierce's mouth is their real trump card. For Hydra, Winter Soldier can only be regarded as a high-level fighter, not the level of the bottom hand. Hydra is going to be destroyed, what else do I need to worry about? Pierce snorted. Can't you see it now? It is time for them to survive and die, so there is still so much to consider. For them now, they can't miss any trace of power they can use. I see, I will immediately release that monster. The man in a bald suit nodded quickly and ran to a sealed iron jail next to the laboratory, ready to release the monster in the iron jail. As for Li Wei, when Pierce did something, Li Wei already knew it. No way, his observation haki is top-notch, let alone this Hydra base, even this mountainous area can be completely covered by him. So just now when Pierce made a small move, Li Wei already knew it completely. But at the moment, Li Wei ignored Pierce's small movements and rushed directly to Winter Soldier, as if he wanted to kill Winter Soldier completely. In fact, Li Wei does have the idea of killing Winter Soldier. You must know that over the years, some of the dirty work that Hydra has not been able to deal with has been ordered by Winter Soldier. It can be said that the Winter Soldier controlled by Hydra has completely become a sharp knife of Hydra. Because of this, Winter Soldier killed a lot of special characters, including Tony Stark's parents, Howard, and his wife. Although Li Wei hasn't said anything, Li Wei is still very grateful for Howard took him over and prevented him from living on the street. What's more, the Howards have always regarded him as their own, allowing Li Wei to spend a very good childhood. So now seeing the Winter Soldier who killed the Howards, it is impossible to say that Li Wei did not have anger in his heart. For this reason, Li Wei wanted to kill Winter Soldier and avenge the Howards. In fact, Li Wei did it. Ignoring Pierce's little moves, I just want to kill Winter Soldier. Li Wei's figure moved, and he came to the Winter Soldier instantly, wrapped around Armament Haki's fist, and slammed it at the Winter Soldier. With a bang, the Winter Soldier was blown away by Li Wei again, and fell to the ground fiercely. But Li Wei didn't stop there, instead beating the Winter Soldier frantically. In order to vent the anger in his heart, Li Wei specifically did not use other powers, only Armament Haki. Because once other powers are lost, Winter Soldier may be killed in one move, which is not what Li Wei wants to see. Too early to die, a little bit cheaper for him. Winter Soldier wants to fight back, but Li Wei does not give Winter Soldier a chance at all. Jerking. Li Wei directly tore off Winter Soldier's robotic arm. Winter Soldier was in pain and let out a muffled hum. But Li Wei ignored the situation of Winter Soldier and beat Winter Soldier frantically. The Winter Soldier, who had lost his robotic arm, was even more powerless to resist, and could only silently endure Li Wei's attack. No, you are. Bucky. Li Wei, don't hurt Bucky. Just as Li Wei attacked Winter Soldier, S.H.I.E.L.D agents also ran in. Upon entering Hydra's base, Captain America suddenly saw Li Wei beating Winter Soldier. As a good friend of Captain America, there are many stories between Captain America and Winter Soldier. So the moment he saw Winter Soldier, Captain America immediately recognized that the soldier who fought with Li Wei was his good friend Winter Soldier. After decades, when I saw Winter Soldier again, Captain America was very exciting. But Captain America soon lost such thoughts, because he found that Li Wei was beating Winter Soldier. Having seen Li Wei's ability, Captain America knows how terrifying Li Wei's power is, and knows that he cannot be Li Wei's opponent. But even so, he still wants to save Winter Soldier. Without him, just because of their previous feelings. However, how could Li Wei listen to Captain America's words? Attacking the fist of Winter Soldier, the power has not diminished at all. Li Wei. Don't hurt Bucky, Captain America roared and rushed directly to Li Wei, trying to rescue Winter Soldier. But his actions were just ants shaking the tree in Li Wei's eyes, and they had no effect at all. Throwing a whip, Li Wei directly kicked the approaching Captain America away. "Mr. Steven, do you know what you are doing? You are shielding Hydra's criminals. Can I think that you are also Hydra's accomplices?" Li Wei gave Captain America a cold look. Chapter 63 Kill Winter Soldier and Juggernaut is here. One more, please subscribe. A joke, if I want to save Winter Soldier, I don't see if I have this ability. To be honest, at the beginning, Li Wei didn't say anything about Captain America, but he didn't dislike it. But these operations of Captain America today make Li Wei completely indifferent to Captain America, and even a little bit of disgust. So if there is a chance to cheat him, Li Wei doesn't mind let him feel the taste of being pitted. "You!" Captain America's voice squeaked, and he was a little speechless. Originally kicked by Li Wei, he suffered a lot of injuries, and his blood was not smooth. In the end, Li Wei said that Captain America was about to run away. He is an accomplice of Hydra. Is there anything more annoying than this? You know, anyone who knows him knows that he and Hydra does not share the same sky. It can be said that in the battle with Hydra, the one who rushed to the forefront was Captain America. Even more, the reason why he was frozen back then was also due to the battle with Hydra's Red Skull. But at the moment's Captain America, but there are some words that can't be rebutted. Because the fact is.so, Bucky appears here, it should be someone from Hydra. Although he can't think of why this is the case, this fact cannot be disputed. In this way, if he speaks for Bucky, isn't he speaking for Hydra? This is a very contradictory situation, but it is. So, Captain, you leave here first and go and see what's going on outside. Black Widow said to Captain America and told him to go out and inspect outside the base. She is worried that Captain America will continue to stay here and will completely counter the purpose of Li Wei. This is not the picture Nick Fury wants to see, so Black Widow has acted as the master and let Captain America leave temporarily. Temporarily separate the two, maybe it can reduce some contradictions. Captain America is naturally unwilling to this, because he still wants to save Bucky. However, he has always advertised that he is a soldier who abides by the military regulations, so Captain America can't make words that violate the order. After all, the commander of this operation is not him, but Natasha Romanoff. Natasha Romanoff said so, he couldn't refute it. In desperation, Captain America gave Li Wei a fierce look, and then reluctantly walked out of the base. Regarding this, Li Wei just smiled indifferently, too lazy to pay attention to Captain America's small movements. Then, Li Wei turned his head and looked at Bucky in front of you. "I know you don't have much sense now, but you shouldn't kill you. Those who killed, it's time for you to make amends." Li Wei looked at the Winter Soldier on the ground and said a word. In fact, Li Wei knew in his heart that Winter Soldier was brainwashed and killed the Howards before, only to execute Hydra's orders. But this cannot erase what he committed. The mistake. And such mistakes need to be repaid with blood. Li Wei's eyes become cold, clenched, and a long circular gas mask is covered on his fist. Shock Fruit ability, start. The next moment, Li Wei faces Winter the Soldier's head was punched. There was a loud bang. The entire Hydra base trembled. A huge amounts of pothole appeared on the ground, and Winter Soldier's figure has completely disappeared. Li Wei completely bombed and killed let the Winter Soldier disappear in this world. Boom! A sound of shaking came out, and the entire Hydra base was shaking. Cracks appeared on the walls, and there were even rubble falling from the ceiling. This is the effect of Li Wei's punch just now. Even if it is a base fortress specially used to deal with various crises, at the moment, it is also crumbling. It seems that it might collapse at any time. But Li Wei didn't even look at it, but directly looked at Pierce and others in the laboratory. It was Winter Soldier who killed the Howards. But the person who ordered was the top of Hydra. Now that Li Wei killed Winter Soldier, it is naturally impossible to let go of the people behind the scenes, so Pierce and others, Li Wei did not intend to let it go. Damn, the Winter Soldier is dead. That guy is the real devil. The Hydra members around Pierce looked at Li Wei in horror. Seeing Li Wei's brutal methods, they were completely panicked, and their eyes were full of panic. Sidwell, are you not ready yet? Pierce let out a roar and shouted at the bald man who had just ran to release his secret weapon. Come! The bald man's voice came, press a button. With a click, the closed iron prison door next to the laboratory was slowly opened. Roar! At the same time, a terrible beast roar came from the iron prison. The monster in Pierce's mouth, Hydra's secret weapon, was finally released. Everyone's eyes were attracted by the slowly opening iron prison in the past. It was not until the iron prison was fully opened that people saw that there was a hideous figure in the iron prison. Yes, this is the monster in Pierce's mouth. On the wall inside the iron prison, a burly figure, about 3 meters high, the giant man who was a lap bigger than Hulk was locked on the wall. The giant man wears a thick circular steel helmet on his head, and all the joints on his body are fixed by steel bars, allowing him to move. You can't do it even with your fingers. But just looking at the bloody eyes of the giant man, you can feel it. Feel the violence in his heart. This is Juggernaut. Li Wei's eyes turned slightly, and he instantly recognized the identity of this violent giant. He had seen the information of Juggernaut when he watched Mutants information before. Really speaking, Juggernaut is not mutant, and his ability source is a bit weird. The magic power from the evil god Setarak. But every time Juggernaut appears, he blends in with mutant and stirs the wind and rain with mutant. Over time, Juggernaut was included in the mutant camp. However, Juggernaut's strength is also very powerful. Juggernaut's collision ability is very terrifying, destroying many buildings many times. See, Tolak's magic makes Juggernaut's power inexhaustible and inexhaustible. Can make Juggernaut's meat. The body is almost indestructible, even resistant to Thor's Mjolnir and Wolverine's adamantium alloy steel claws. Be the body of Juggernaut. After moving, nothing can stop him. It can be said that this is another monster similar to Hulk, no wonder that Pierce is regarded as a whole card. But Li Wei did not expect that Juggernaut was caught by Hydra. Think about it, this is also possible. In the original work, Juggernaut was arrested many times. Lived, was caught in Warning 3, once, and was later rescued by Magneto, and was caught again in Deadpool 2 and was accidentally knocked out by Deadpool. Hydra paid some price, with a little bit of money strategies, it is still possible to catch. Chapter 64 The Beast is out of the cage, the Juggernaut is powerful. 2 more, please subscribe. Although Juggernaut is full of destructive power, as long as his movements are restricted and he is not allowed to move, he has nothing to do. For this reason, the Juggernaut at the moment is strictly restrained, even small movements make it all. Because Hydra cannot give Juggernaut a chance to accumulate kinetic energy. It seems that you also know this monster, yes, this is Juggernaut. Li Wei, since you know Juggernaut, you should know how terrible Juggernaut is. As long as you retreat, I promise not to release Juggernaut, so we are all good. Pierce looked at Li Wei and said. To be honest, he is also unwilling to release Juggernaut. Although they lived in the tank, but couldn't control Juggernaut. Maybe Juggernaut at the moment is still in his heart, resenting them. Pierce is really unwilling to release Juggernaut if he can. After all, this is a bad idea that hurts both sides. It kills 10,000 people and hurts himself 8,000. This is boring. If Li Wei is willing to retreat obediently, it would be better. It would be boring not to release Juggernaut. Since you want it, I will help you. Li Wei suddenly laughed, took out a special pistol, and shot it directly in the direction of Juggernaut. Momo 50 times gun. In an instant, the bullet came out of the chamber and changed into a huge 1-meter diameter bullet. Boom fiercely at the iron jail where Juggernaut is. Hydra wants to shake hands and say that there is no one. Li Wei came this time. He wanted to pinch this poisonous snake hiding in the ground completely. So Li how can Wei accept this half-threat, half-compromise way of speaking? What's more, even if their whole card is Juggernaut. Hulk and Li Wei have been beaten so many times, let alone just a Juggernaut. On the other hand, even if the Juggernaut suffered a 50-fold increase of bullets, it is still too to say whether it can withstand it. Maybe this huge bullet hit it, and it directly killed Juggernaut. At that time, Li Wei didn't even need to make a shot himself. No, that lunatic did it. Pierce and others, all their faces changed drastically. They did not expect that Li Wei was so crazy, without saying anything, directly attacked Juggernaut. Is this a lunatic? Isn't it negotiating now? If you think the price is not right, you don't will you pay it back. There is always a suitable price. In fact, Pierce has already made a big deal. The preparation of blood, I feel that I need to give up a lot of benefits. As a result, I did not expect that Li Wei would not play virtual with them at all, and directly attacked Juggernaut. At this moment, Pierce and others can be considered to be able to lock Yvonne Vank. The mood at the time. Li Wei, a lunatic, doesn't play cards according to his routine at all. How come you come? There is a loud bang, the bullet that was multiplied by 5 times turned into a huge bullet, and it slammed on the body. For a time, the entire iron prison they were all smashed. Even the mountain behind the iron prison was directly blasted out of a huge amounts of hole. The original shaky base began to collapse. Part of the base building has completely collapsed. This is the one they are currently in. The laboratory seems to have been specially reinforced, so it has not been completely destroyed for the time being. Can't stand it anymore, Mr. Li Wei, let's go outside and wait for you. Behind Li Wei, Black Widow yelled to Li Wei with a look of fear. The destructive power of this guy is terrible. The entire Hydra base is probably destroyed in Li Wei's hands. If they continue to stay here, say maybe it will be buried here. In desperation, Black Widow can only take other agents and retreat outside. Regarding this, Li Wei ignored them, just nodded slightly and let them go. Because from beginning to end, Li Wei didn't want to rely on them for anything. In Li Wei's view, SHIELD S agents are his tools, and their only role is to help him find Hydra's nest. This is what Li Wei and Nick Fury said before. SHIELD responsible for tracking, finding Hydra's lair, and then Li Wei shot to destroy Hydra. These SHIELD S agent followed Li Wei into Hydra's nest, but also because Nick Fury was a little worried and wanted to see Hydra with his own eyes. So they are leaving here now. It is a good thing for them, at least not life-threatening. Li Wei ignored them, but looked at Pierce and other Hydra executives with a panic look. Roar! A roar came from the big hole that was smashed by the huge bullet. A burly figure slowly followed stand up in the ruins. This is exactly the Juggernaut. And it is the Juggernaut who has untied all the restraints on his body. The attack that Li Wei just made, although he attacked Juggernaut and caused some injuries to Juggernaut, it would not kill Juggernaut after all. Thick skin and invincibility, this is also the characteristic of Juggernaut, and it is very similar to Hulk. So Juggernaut at the moment, not only has no death, but has untied many constraints on the body. This is also a blessing in disguise for Juggernaut. Oops, Juggernaut was released. That monster has come out, it's going to be awful. Pierce, these. The high levels of Hydra, when they saw Juggernaut walking out slowly, their expressions changed drastically. Because Juggernaut came out, it is definitely not a good thing. I finally free, you hateful ants, dare to take advantage of this big one. When the master falls asleep, he will be the big one. Master, catch it, I want to hammer you to death. The Juggernaut, wearing a steel helmet, let out a roar of great joy, then turned his head and stared at Pierce and the others with blood red. Kill. Without the slightest hesitation, Juggernaut moved directly and rushed towards Pierce and the others. Boom! Juggernaut's weight is very exaggerated, it is an amazing number, so the whole base is trembling when it starts to run. But the Juggernaut ran faster and faster, and the accumulated kinetic energy was very exaggerated. It ran directly into a high-level Hydra. Boom! The one that was hit by Juggernaut. The high-level Hydra was directly broken into bones and smashed into a meatloaf. Sure enough, it really deserves to have it. In the name of the tank, the power brought by running is really scary. Run, run away! Pierce yelled to everyone around. This time, Pierce was completely panicked. If there is still the possibility of negotiation between them and Li Wei, but between them and Juggernaut, there is no possibility of reversal. Because of Juggernaut for their Hydra, I hate them. Now that Juggernaut has been released, I guess I just want to kill them. All of the Hydra executives dispersed and ran around. Juggernaut definitely won't let them run away, ran again, and went directly to them. Second, please subscribe, ask for support, all kinds of requests. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Philo Novels. Chapter 65 Destroy Hydra, Fight Juggernaut. 3 more, please subscribe. There are free thugs, it seems I can save some effort. Regarding the situation of Juggernaut chasing and killing Hydra members, Li Wei is naturally happy to see. After all, he originally wanted to kill Hydra, and now Juggernaut is willing to do it for him, Li Wei will naturally not refuse. So Li Wei just walked away and came. Go to the gate of the laboratory and give the venue to Juggernaut, so that Juggernaut has enough room to play. For a while, the entire laboratory becomes a slaughterhouse, and Juggernaut is that. The butcher with the knife. Definitely, Hydra naturally, the high levels of the team will not sit and wait for death. Some people even run in the direction of Li Wei, wanting to escape from the chaos. However, Li Wei could not give them this opportunity. Li Wei ignored the Hydra members who played with Red Tan in the lab. But as long as he runs in the direction of Li Wei will directly attack and kill those. The guys who run over. He said that today, he is going to crush the poisonous snake in the dark. When you say it, you must do it. Soon, the screams slowly subsided. It wasn't until Juggernaut squeezed the last Pierce to death that the chaos came to an end. At this time, all Hydra executives had all been killed by Juggernaut, even the boss of Pierce. This Hydra is completely finished. At this time, Juggernaut looked up at Li Wei with a fierce light in his eyes. You bastard, I remember you just hit me with that weird thing. Juggernaut stared at Li Wei angrily, the violence in his eyes was more solid than before. Although he directly attacked the members of Hydra after he got out of trouble, it does not mean that he will forget the fact that Li Wei attacked him just now. Li Wei's attack helped him get out of trouble, but Juggernaut wouldn't be grateful to Li Wei. Because of Li Wei's huge bomb, he almost killed him. Juggernaut's eyes are not big, or else he wouldn't kill all the members of Hydra as soon as they came out. So after dealing with the people of Hydra, Juggernaut turned his eyes to Li Wei again. His eyes were very unkind, with a very obvious evil intention. Well, then, you want to kill me? Li Wei smiled indifferently, and glanced at Juggernaut disapprovingly. It was indeed that he had smashed it, so what? Regarding this matter, Li Wei didn't even have the idea of denying it, so just admit it. If Juggernaut wants to trouble him, then Li Wei doesn't mind playing with Juggernaut. Damn it, I want to crush you. Seeing Li Wei's disapproval expression, Juggernaut became angry and rushed directly to Li Wei. The abundant power, accompanied by Juggernaut's movements, gathered again and rushed directly to Li Wei, as if he was going to smash Li Wei directly. But, Li Wei didn't seem to be afraid, took out his pistol and fired a shot at Juggernaut. Momo 10 shots, bang! The moment the bullet pops out of the chamber, it instantly changes into a huge amounts of meteorite. With the multiplied mass and kinetic energy, slammed to the increase of Juggernaut. 1. Although the volume and mass are twice that of 5 frames. But the kinetic energy between the two is different. With a terrifying impact, it is more than 2 meters in diameter. The bullet meteorite, I think about Juggernaut hard. A huge amount of tremor appeared. Juggernaut's huge body was directly hit by the bullet meteorite, and hit the mountain behind the base hard. The mountain was instantly broken and cracks appeared. Directly blasted a huge pit. Although Juggernaut's ability is special, it can be inexhaustible. But this is all a process of accumulation. The more kinetic energy he accumulates, the stronger the burst of power. But once the bullet is out of the chamber, it has a very terrifying speed and explosive power, plus the increase of Momo fruit. The power that broke out was so explosive. So Juggernaut was blown away directly. Damn bastard, you hurt me. Juggernaut walked out of the mountain and looked at Li Wei angrily. Although his body is indestructible, it is also very uncomfortable to be hit by such a terrifying bullet and meteor. Really? Then congratulations, because my bullet is still a lot. Li Wei smiled and picked up the special pistol in his hand and aimed at the Juggernaut again. This pistol modified by Dr. Banner can hold a lot more bullets than ordinary pistols. In fact, in terms of weapon modification, Stark is better at it, and Dr. Banner is better at biology. But some time ago, Stark was busy with the new elements. Li Wei didn't bother him, but asked Dr. Banner to transform it at will. But as far as it seems, the power of this trait pistol is still very impressive. Boom! Boom! Under Juggernaut's panic gaze, Li Wei shot again. This time, Li Wei pulled the trigger continuously, crazy shoot bullets. Momo Fruit's ability is constantly used. Every bullet, when it is ejected, instantly grows larger, turning into a terrifying meteorite, and smashing into the Juggernaut. 1. 2. 3. Until all the bullets were exhausted, Li Wei put away the pistol. At the same time, one after another bullets and meteorites slammed on Juggernaut, completely burying Juggernaut in the geography. At the moment's Hydra base has been completely destroyed in Li Wei's hands. There are deep pits on the ground, all of which were blasted out by Li Wei, and the deepest one in the pit, Juggernaut was deeply suppressed under the pit. Is it the only way? It's better than Hulk, not as good as. Looking at the quiet bottom of the pit, Li Wei was a little disappointed. He hasn't really started yet. He just used Momo Fruit to reward Juggernaut with a few bullets. If Juggernaut can't get up like this, Li Wei will be very disappointed. Roar! At this time, an extremely angry roar came from the bottom of the pit. A huge figure of awkwardness rushed out of the pit directly. Juggernaut rushed out, with some injuries on his body. It looked a little embarrassed. But at the moment, Juggernaut exudes a faint red light, and his eyes are replaced by red glow. It looks very weird. Juggernaut used his whole cards and used the power of the evil god. That's interesting. Seeing Hulk rushing out of the bottom of the pit, Li Wei suddenly laughed. If the battle is over all at once, it will be boring. I must kill you, damn bastard! Juggernaut let out a roar. He was very angry and looked stubborn. No one has ever played with him like this before. Although he has also been arrested by some organizations before. Lived, but it was all tricks of others. This is the first time that he was severely suppressed by others in terms of strength. So Juggernaut was very angry to the extreme, vowing that he must beat Li Wei. Interesting, I look forward to your performance. Li Wei smiled calmly. The last person who said this was Hulk, but Hulk has been hammered by him. Chapter 66 Juggernaut Stunned. For more, please subscribe. Rumble. Surrounded by the red light, the Juggernaut frantically attacked Li Wei. After being bombarded by Li Wei with bullets and meteorites, Juggernaut was completely angry and was about to hammer Li Wei. Regarding this, Li Wei did not have the slightest fear, and directly faced him. Go up and rush towards Juggernaut. Die me, bastard! Juggernaut rushed in front of Li Wei, his fist as big as a rock, hammered Li Wei fiercely. That's not necessarily true. Li Wei sneered, clenched his palms into fists, and rushed directly to face Juggernaut's fists. Arms hardened. Shock ability, start. Arms surround a solid armament haki, and a white circle is condensed on the fists. Gas mask. Li Wei not only used armament haki to increase the strength of his arms, but also shock fruit's ability. Boom, two fists met, the fists faced the fists, and they banged together. A shock burst out. In the air, a layer of invisible air wave appeared, spreading to the surrounding. Ah! It hurts. My arm. The next moment, Juggernaut let out a scream. Juggernaut's body was directly blasted back more than 10 meters away. Juggernaut's fist, directly swelled in a circle, blood infiltrated from the pore, turning the fist into blood. Even more, Juggernaut and Li Wei banged the arm directly, softly vertical to the ground at an unnatural angle. Juggernaut's arm broke. One punch. Li Wei directly broke Juggernaut's arm. In this punch of Li Wei, shock fruit's ability was integrated. The horrible source of vibration hit Juggernaut's arm and directly shattered the bones and flesh in Juggernaut's arm. This is the reason why Juggernaut's skin is thick and thick. If it is a weaker enemy, it is estimated that the entire arm will be completely shattered. How could it be as simple as being shattered? I have to say that there is a special thing about the type of powerhouse like Juggernaut. That is, their surface defenses are amazing, almost indestructible, but the defenses in the body are slightly weaker by a percentage point. Hulk's situation is also somewhat similar to Juggernaut. Therefore, the power of shock fruit restrains them very much. Directly hit the source of vibration into Juggernaut's body and burst out in Juggernaut's body, causing him great trauma. Juggernaut was so shocked that he couldn't speak, but he held his arms tightly and looked at Li Wei in shock, with a trace of panic in his eyes. This is the first time he has encountered such a terrible guy in so many years. With a punch, he broke his arm directly. He has never encountered such a situation before. This is too terrible. You know, even Magneto and other mutants who have faced before, such an exaggerated ability. So Juggernaut is somewhat panicked. However, this is only the first attack. This battle has just begun. Momo Fruit ability, launch. With the speed doubled, Li Wei flashed and came to Juggernaut in an instant. The next moment, Li Wei's fist hit Juggernaut's cheek again. Juggernaut hurriedly raised his arm, using another uninjured arm, trying to resist Li Wei's attack. What's more, Juggernaut didn't dare to slack in the slightest. The dark red light that surrounded him, they all gathered on his arms, trying to resist Li Wei's attack. There was a loud boom. The fists and arms met again. Under Li Wei's power burst, Juggernaut's huge amounts of body was directly blasted back. One side the other side the walls, the surrounding walls and pillars, and I don't know how much they were crushed. The Juggernaut's body was just barely enough to be blasted back nearly 100 meters. Stopped. At the moment, a deep trace was directly dragged out on the ground. The scene, it looked like an embarrassing appearance. It can be seen that the power of Li Wei's punch is so terrible. The power of this punch has far surpassed the power that Li Wei used when fighting Hulk before. You know, when fighting Hulk before, Li Wei only used Armament Haki and Momo Fruit. But this time, Li Wei has 3 abilities, use them all. After all, before, Li Wei had to worry about the sequelae of the superposition of multiple powers. Li Wei did not dare to break out easily. Worried that he would smash his arm directly when he blasted out a move. But now, there is a superb Phoenix Fruit. Self-healing ability as a backing, Li Wei did not have the slightest scruples, and directly burst out all his strength. Armament Haki enhances the overall strength of the arm. Momo Fruit brings multiple speed increases. Shock Fruit makes Li Wei's fist possess a powerful explosive power. Under the explosion of the 3 powers, with just one punch, Li Wei directly blasted the Juggernaut. How is this possible? Are you the devil? Juggernaut looked at Li Wei in shock. His arm was constantly shaking. Shaking. You know, his source of power is the Ruby of Thulhu, which is a gift from Thulhu. It can be said that this is Juggernaut's trump card. In order to defend against Li Wei's attack, Juggernaut gathered all the power of Ruby to his arm go up. However, with one blow down, although this arm was not directly broken like the arm just now. But at the moment, his arm kept shaking. Shaking. The stings told Juggernaut that the ability of his arm had reached its limit. According to Juggernaut's own budget, there is another attack like this. It is estimated that his arm will be scrapped. This is a terrible thing. You know, unlike just now, this time he even used the power of the evil god. In the end, the situation has not changed much. His power is still inferior to Li Wei's power. For this reason, Juggernaut looked at Li Wei's gaze, full of horror. This Eastern man is a devil, right? It's normal. People, even those in the physique-enhancing mutant, he has never seen such a horrible guy. 2 blows. Just 2 attacks, Li Wei's position in Juggernaut's heart already has a tremendous change. Stop fighting, I won't fight with the devil. Juggernaut shook his head and backed slowly. It can be said that Juggernaut has no intention to fight. Because now Li Wei, in Juggernaut's heart, has no doubt with the devil. Can humans fight the devil? Kidding, the two are not the same at all a level of existence. What Juggernaut thinks now is, hurry up and stay away from the devil Li Wei. What are you talking about? This is not okay. Why don't you say that you want to hammer me over? Li Wei is very dissatisfied. He just found the sense of fighting. Feeling, Juggernaut flinched in the end. There is no such good thing in the world. Li Wei does not matter whether Juggernaut still wants to fight, now he wants to fight. So this battle, before Li Wei stopped, it's over. Thinking about this, Li Wei heads directly to Juggernaut. Chapter 67 Interested Professor X. 5 more, please subscribe. Master Thulhu, I really don't fight with the devil. Seeing Li Wei's unstoppable appearance, Juggernaut was shocked. He could imagine the terrible ability of Li Wei, the result after a few more punches on his body. His body would definitely be blasted. There are a few big holes, and it is even possible to be smashed directly. After all, the red light surrounding him, which is the energy of the evil god, will be completely exhausted after using it a few times. At that time, he will not die no matter what I know. So Juggernaut made a wise decision. 36 counts are the best plan. So Juggernaut turned around, stepped on huge amounts of feet, and rushed straight away. Such a decisive escape made Li Wei stunned. You know, when Hulk fought with him, he kept carrying it all the time, and didn't want to admit defeat. It wasn't until Hulk was knocked out and changed back to Dr. Banner's appearance that the battle came to an end. As a result, now, Juggernaut turned his head and ran away. There is no such thing as a strong person. It can be said that Li Wei didn't even think of this situation at all, so for a while, Li Wei was a little dazed. Until Juggernaut completely disappeared in front of him, Li Wei came back to his senses. This guy, the image has just collapsed. Li Wei whispered speechlessly. In his previous impression, Juggernaut should be the kind of grumpy and brash type, not afraid of the sky, but now he just slipped away. This made Li Wei a little bit dumbfounded. But after Juggernaut's trouble, Li Wei didn't have the thought of fighting. At this point, the Hydra battle was completely over. And the final result was that this Hydra was completely destroyed. At this point, Li Wei walked directly outside the Hydra base. Well, it's actually not outside, because at the moment, the entire Hydra base has been completely shattered and turned into ruins. Li Wei just walked past the ruins. As for that the crude version of the arc reactor that was stolen, Li Wei has not forgotten either. Find it directly, and then smash it with one foot. After all, the arc reactor is the essence of Stark's steel battlesuit. Although Li Wei used the arc reactor, he would not leak Stark's secrets. So after using the arc reactor, Li Wei directly destroyed the arc reactor. Soon, Li Wei came outside the Hydra base and saw Black Widow waiting in the distance waiting for Shield agent. Mr. Li Wei, how is the situation inside? As soon as he saw Li Wei coming out, Natasha Romanoff hurriedly came to Li Wei and asked Li Wei how he was fighting. It's over, Hydra's people are all dead, and the follow-up processing is left to you. Li Wei said to Natasha Romanoff. That's right, this time the person responsible for dealing with subsequent troubles is Shield the agents. This is why Li Wei did not drive them away. Because they are all Li Wei's toolmen, they need to deal with the subsequent troubles after the battle is over. After all, Li Wei is only in charge of fighting, and Li Wei doesn't care about other trivial matters. Thinking of this, Li Wei straightened and returned to Niu Yu. After Li Wei left, Natasha Romanoff and others turned around and looked at the fragmented Hydra base. Standing in the distance, Captain America was silent and walked deep into the Hydra base without saying a word. In fact, when Natasha Romanoff and others came out, Captain America had already left Shield. From the mouths of these agents, I learned the truth that Winter Soldier was killed by Li Wei. So since just now, Captain America has been silent. And now, Captain America just wants to see Winter Soldier for the last time. Okay, let's get started. Find out all Hydra's data, any useful things. Natasha Romanoff glanced at Captain America, sighed, and then ignored him and spoke to the men around him. Li Wei doesn't like this Hydra base, but for SHIELD. In terms of this base turned into ruins is a treasure. They may be able to find something valuable from this broken Hydra base. For example, Hydra's business objects over the years, their material access, whether they have done anything, and where have they buried a hidden child. As long as you find something, it is possible to generate huge amounts of value. So, SHIELD agents, get busy again. Naturally, Li Wei doesn't know these things. At the moment, Li Wei is already on his way back to Nihuyu. At the beginning, Li Wei also used Phoenix's ability and wanted to rely on flight to return Nihuyu. However, this is a very expensive and boring one. Process. The most important point is that Li Wei doesn't know the way very much, which is a bit embarrassing. So in the middle of the flight, Li Wei directly used the steel battle suit, directly used the smart navigation of the smart housekeeper on Friday, and directly flew back to the button. Soon, Li Wei returned to the villa. At this time, Sky was already at home, quietly waiting for Li Wei's return. Li Wei once again returned to the tender hometown. When Li Wei returned to Wenro Township, Juggernaut was also quickly escaping from the Hydra base. Juggernaut doesn't know where he is going, but the only thing he wants to do now is to stay away from the Hydra base. In other words, far away from Li Wei. As for his arms, if there is no good chance, it is estimated that it will take a long time before he can recover. After all, Juggernaut is no better than Hulk. His power comes from the evil god. Although indestructible, it is indestructible. However, Juggernaut's recovery ability is far inferior to Hulk, and naturally it cannot recover as quickly as Hulk. Juggernaut felt very awkward and uncomfortable. Why did he meet a monster like Li Wei? You are a tank, why are you here? Just as Juggernaut was immersed in grief, a surprised voice came. Juggernaut turned his head slightly, and suddenly saw an elderly man in a wheelchair, with several strangely dressed figures behind him. You are Grant. When he saw this figure sitting in a wheelchair, Juggernaut immediately recognized the identity of the other party. This is one of the leaders of the mutant camp, who established the police award. In order to recruit a student, the award brought members of the military police and came to this area happened to meet Juggernaut. Juggernaut, why are you hurt like this? Looking at the tank in surprise. Juggernaut's situation looks a bit miserable, especially with his arms, it looks like it is going to be scrapped. It is hard to imagine what terrible things Juggernaut has experienced. You know, when they were in contact with Juggernaut before, Juggernaut was the same. This invincible state, how could it become so desolate? I met a devil from the east, no. It's Mephisto from the east. Juggernaut said angrily and told his story. There is such a person, I really didn't expect it, it seems that we need to investigate it. After listening to Juggernaut's description, Sue was very surprised and muttered in his heart. Whether he hasn't been outside for too long, he doesn't know how such a terrifying character appeared in the world. It seems that he needs to investigate it. At this moment, the teacher has a lot of interest in Wei Wei. Chapter 68 The First Contact Between Li Wei and Professor X. 6 more, please subscribe. Because I met Juggernaut by chance, the professor learned about Li Wei from Juggernaut's mouth and became very interested in Li Wei. After that, he took Juggernaut back to the hospital. There is no way, although Juggernaut is not a mutant, but Juggernaut has always been active with mutant. In many mutant events, Juggernaut is present. Therefore, in the heart, the tank can also be regarded as a person on the mutant side. What's more, the current situation of Juggernaut looks slightly bad. So it's impossible for G to ignore Juggernaut like this. Soon, the members of the police and police, with the injured Juggernaut, slowly return to the hospital. Hank, you take Juggernaut to the treatment. Give the task of healing Red Tan to Beast Hank McCoy, who is beside him. After all, this aspect is something he is good at. After that, he slowly walked to the brainwave strengthening machine in the basement. From Juggernaut's mouth, knowing the existence of Li Wei, he has a hunch. This is definitely a dangerous person, so the professor has to be cautious and want to prepare to probe Li Wei's situation. The brainwave strengthening machine is turned on. The spirit of strengthening the brainwave strengthening machine is instantly extended to all directions. The college founded by the teacher is located in the suburbs of Nihuyu, and Li Wei's residence is within the boundaries of Nihuyu. It's not too far away. So after investigation, Li quickly found the location of Li Wei. The spirit of Li Wei spread and gathered around Li Wei, wanting to enter Li Wei's mind and have a good communication with Li Wei. Then, Li discovered something that he couldn't invade Li Wei's mind. Li Wei's villa at the moment, Li Wei is in the lobby, with Sky. Suddenly, Li Wei's expression changed drastically, becoming dignified. Because the spirit of the anchor sent him a message. Master, I have foreign mental power, I want to invade your brain, but it is blocked by the anchor of the world. I have foreign mental power, I want to pry open Li Wei's brain and enter his mind inside. This is not a trivial matter. After all, there are many secrets in his mind. Whether it is the memory of the past life or the existence of the anchor of the world, Li Wei is not willing to disclose it. Fortunately, the anchor of the world has the instinct of self-protection. The external mental power is blocked and prevents the opponent from invading Li Wei's mind. This can be regarded as an invisible benefit of the anchor of the world, which can save Li Wei from the trouble of such mental attacks. However, at the moment Li Wei's face is still the aspects are very powerful, and there will be a lot of troubles when being targeted by such people. Such an opponent is staring in secret, defending against the opponent's sneak attack. Who has such a strong mental power? Is it that guy in Mutant? Li Wei's eyes turned slightly, and there was a guess in his heart. According to what he knew, the people with such a powerful telepathy ability were nothing more than those few people. One of the most famous is one of the mutant leaders awarded it. What's wrong with you, Li Wei? Sky, who was next to Li Wei, saw Li Wei's face suddenly become very solemn, and he couldn't help but feel a little worried. It's okay, it's just a small matter, don't worry. Li Wei comforted Sky, and Sky was a little relieved. The next moment, Sky's movements suddenly froze, his eyes changed, and there was a trace of oldness in his eyes. Young man, I have no malice, I just want to make a trick with you, roar. An old voice came from Sky's mouth, which looked very strange. However, Li Wei at the moment did not care about it. Instead, his face changed, very cold, looking at Sky in front of him coldly. He knew that Sky's mental power was invaded by the other party. Invade others at will. In my mind, this is not a good practice. Li Wei's voice is very cold, with a trace of anger in his heart. This guy, unable to invade his brain, actually chose to invade Sky's mind. I apologize to you, this is a compelling behavior, and please forgive me. Helplessly said, I really didn't expect that such a situation would happen. At the beginning, he just wanted to communicate with Li Wei, but he did not expect that he could not sense Li Wei's mental fluctuations and could not invade Li Wei's brain. In desperation, he was able to come up with this and choose to invade the nearby Sky's brain. I don't want to talk to a mouse hiding in the dark. I want to communicate with me. You come to me in person, and I will talk to you. Have a good talk. Now, get out of Sky's brain, otherwise I will kill the police, Grant. Li Wei said lightly. He had already guessed the identity of the other party. If he didn't guess wrong, this should be the teaching. But at the moment, Li Wei didn't want to say anything to the professor. What he wants now is I want the professor's mental power to leave Sky's brain. Other things, I'll talk about it later. Well, since Mr. Li Wei's emotions are so intense, then when your emotions calm down, I will have a good talk with you again. Said helplessly. In fact, he also knows that invading other people's brains is always a bad thing, and it is easy to cause the other person's vigilance. Therefore, in normal times, Grants rarely use such ability, unless it is necessary. However, Li Wei's resistance exceeded his expectations, which prevented him from having a good conversation with Li Wei. This is inevitable. Li Wei has big secrets, and he will naturally be more vigilant than others. His secrets are too shocking to be easily revealed. In fact, he has never thought about leaking things at all. Even the dearest Ms. Kai, Stark, and Li Wei didn't plan to tell them. Therefore, a teacher who can invade other people's brains and peek into others' secrets is naturally regarded as a great enemy by Li Wei. In desperation, he can temporarily let go of this matter, and wait for the opportunity to have a good chat with Li Wei. Thinking about this, the spiritual force slowly withdrew from Sky's brain and returned to the body. Li Wei. What happened to me? Sky woke up, slightly flustered, not knowing what was going on. It's okay, everything has me. Li Wei nodded slightly, comforting Sky. After Sky calmed down, Li Wei took out the communicator and dialed a call. Chapter 69 Open up a new world. 7 more, please subscribe. Tony, help me make a jammer, the one that interferes with mental power, the one that can best interfere with all mutants' ultra ability. Li Wei's call was made to Stark. The invasion gave Li Wei a warning. Although the defensive project of the Smart Housekeeper on Friday is one of the best, from the gate position to the lobby, there are several strict gun defenses and so on. As long as it's not the type. Helicopter bombarded with missiles, there will be no big problem. But there is still no way to resist an invasion like this type of inspiration. After all, this invisible power is the most difficult to guard against. So Li Wei directly contacted Stark, and wanted Stark to make something like a jammer. As for this kind of jammer, Li Wei believes that Stark can easily make it. In fact, this type of thing is not difficult to make, and it has even appeared long ago. The metal helmet of Magneto at the time was also considered to be this type of thing, which can isolate the power of telepathy. More even, some organizations targeting mutant also have instruments to suppress mutant ability. Although the things are different, they are in principle. It's roughly the same. In fact, according to Li Wei's guess, like SHIELD. Such a large organization is likely to have such a thing. Although Li Wei asked for a copy of Nick Fury would definitely agree, but Li Wei did not intend to do so. After all, with Nick Fury's style, maybe he would do anything with jammers. When the time comes, the one who monitors this side will become SHIELD. Li Wei knows very well in his heart that although he and Nick Fury have made several transactions, their friendship is nothing more than this, which is only a mutual benefit, and there is no further step. For several reasons, Li Wei gave this matter to Stark. Blocking the mental invasion of mutant, someone at mutant is asking you for trouble, the one in the police. Grant. Stark's voice came from the phone. After all, the general public knows something about mutant, not to mention Stark, so Stark quickly guessed about G. Li Wei, do you need me to take action? Stark asked Li Wei, his voice was a little gloomy. He is Li Wei's cousin, so naturally he doesn't want to see Li Wei being bullied. As for Stark's so-called shots, it is natural to use the influence of Stark industry in society to directly target the police in all aspects of the economy and public opinion. No, what strength I am don't you know? If I want to deal with the police, I will do it myself. You can create a jammer for me. By the way, you'd better prepare one too. Li Wei said with a smile, his heart warmed slightly. With his strength, he naturally does not need Stark to take action. If he wants to deal with the police, it is estimated that the professor will have a headache. But Stark can say such words, it is enough. After chatting with Stark for a while, the conversation with Stark ended. Taking advantage of his free time, Li Wei visualizes the anchor of the world and understands his situation. Host, Li Weista ability, Shock Fruit, Momo Fruit, Phoenix Fruit, Top Armament Haki, Top Observation Haki World Anchor Level, Golden World Origin, 12. Recorded coordinates, Pirate World. The other data is. There is no different from before, but. The origin of the world. The growth is somewhat beyond Li Wei's expectations. World Origin, 15. Too much. The accumulation of the world's origin is much more than any previous accumulation. But thinking about it, this is normal. During this time, Li Wei has done a lot of things. Changed the plot of Iron Man 2 to help Stark discover new elements, and eliminated the Whiplash Yvonne Vank. What's more, later Li Wei also let Captain America wake up in advance, behead Winter Soldier, eliminate Hydra, and defeat Juggernaut. Although on the surface, Li Wei did not do much, but only shot twice. But in these 2 shots, Li Wei has changed a lot of things. On the other hand, some of the changes in the previous plot, the impact is slowly emerging. All of these have brought a lot of world origins to Li Wei, which is why he has the current accumulation. With so many world origins, it seems that we can search for new worlds. Li Wei muttered, an idea came into his mind. Although there are still many things in the Marvel world that have not been completely resolved, at this stage, Li Wei is somewhat free. On the one hand, things on Stark's side have been resolved, and Stark is now focusing on researching a new generation of steel battlesuits. An SHIELD. Over there, I am still busy cleaning up the subsequent effects of Hydra. But as far as Li Wei is concerned, he has nothing to do. It's definitely, and the matter of Li Wei and Xi hasn't ended so easily. Although on the surface, the professor is not too hostile, Li Wei is very unhappy with the way he teaches. He will always ask for this matter back, otherwise it will make the military police feel that he is a good bully. However, for this matter, we still need to wait for Stark to complete the jammer and settle the situation at home, before Li Wei will go to the teacher. This matter is temporarily in a hurry, so Li Wei is a little free for a while. He was thinking whether to take this opportunity to open up a new world. After all, he now also has enough world origins to let him squander. If he discovers a new world, maybe he can plunder a new ability. When he thought of this, Li Wei was a little moved. The heart is not as good as the action. Thinking of this, Li Wei said to Sky, and then returned to his room, ready to search for things in the new world. Skillfully visualizing the anchor of the world, a little bit of light emerged from Li Wei's palm, condensing into a simple illusory anchor. Li Wei waved and threw the unreal anchor. Tick. The space touched by the illusory anchor, like a stone thrown into the calm water, and a ripple. The world. In the vast and mysterious endless void, the illusory anchor is like a fish, constantly swimming in the void, endlessly advancing towards the void where the end is invisible. I don't know how long it took, until a certain moment, the unreal anchor seemed to find something and rushed directly to a direction. Passing through the layers of void, the illusory anchor came near a plane. This is a pale white ball of light, emitting a soft light, and it is also a real plane. Found a new world, whether to invade this world. The spirit of the anchor gave Li Wei a message. Chapter 70 The Second World, Naruto World. 8 more, please subscribe. Invade the new world. The anchor of the world finds a new world, Li Wei immediately nodded, without the slightest hesitation. The unreal anchor received Li Wei's order and directly pierced the pale white ball of light, like a nail, directly nailed to the light film of this plane. The light film of the light ball was broken, and the anchor fixed it, connecting the two worlds together. Host, Li Wei Stark Invasion of the World, World of Naruto World Level, Extraordinary Time, Annihilation. The night can stay time, 15, at the time of the invasion, a message appeared in Li Wei's mind. Then, a bright light appeared, wrapping Li Wei's body. When the light disappears, Li Wei's figure has completely disappeared in the Marvel world. Hokage World Konoha Village Hokage Rock, a bright light appeared, a black-haired man walking out of the void. He appeared on the Hokage Rock between the original Hokage Senjua pillars. The man with black hair and black eyes, sword eyebrows, and star eyes, his expression is cold, surrounded by illusory chains emitting a faint light, looks very mysterious. This is Li Wei who invaded this world. Is this world the Naruto world after the pirate world? It is the second world among the three big comics. His eyes swept over the surrounding situation, and Li Wei instantly confirmed what kind of world is this world. No way, the Hokage Rock at his feet and the architectural style of Konoha Village are still very recognizable. However, in order to further confirm the current situation, Li Wei once again visualized the anchor of the world to understand the current situation. When Li Wei opened his eyes, he already had some understanding of the current situation. Night of clan extermination, that's interesting. Li Wei murmured in his heart, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Unexpectedly, the time of his arrival was actually the night of the Uchiha clan's extermination. This is catching up with the excitement. Definitely, the excitement is one thing, what really makes Li Wei care about is the Uchiha clan's writing wheel. Li Wei has also read a lot of novels in his previous life. It can be said that the writing wheel eye is about to rot, but it can't stand this thing, it's easy to use. In the early stage, ninjutsu and physique were copied, and it could also release illusion, and later evolved into a kaleidoscope of kaleidoscope writing round eyes, and even various special blood inheritance limits ability. In the end, it can even evolve into the Eye of Reincarnation and control the power of the 6 realms. It can be said that Naruto is very little. You can see the special features of Shaolin Yan. So it is rare to have such an opportunity. Why don't you want to join in the fun? Thinking of this, Li Wei left Hokage Rock directly and walked towards the street. Li Wei controlled the virtual chain surrounding it to hide its figure so as not to be too conspicuous. During this period of time, when I was slightly free, Li Wei had time to study the anchor of the world, and only then discovered that the unreal chain can be controlled. It's definitely, the unreal chain just hides its traces, but it still exists, around Li Wei. After all, this thing is a guarantee for Li Wei to invade other worlds. The street swayed slightly, and if you inquired a little bit, Li Wei knew the base of the Uchiha clan. Soon, Li Wei came to the distance of the Uchiha clan. The Anbu does things, keep idlers away. At this time, a figure dressed in black and wearing an animal mask jumped from a big tree and came to Li Wei, blocking Li Wei's path. This is a member of Anbi, responsible for preventing strangers from approaching. After all, a major change is taking place in the current Uchiha station. Is it already started? It seems I should have caught up. Facing Anbu's obstruction, Li Wei was not angry, but smiled. It seems that he has caught up. Who are you? The instincts of Anbu members. When something is wrong, take out a talisman and send a signal. At this time, Li Wei moved instantly. A flash, Li Wei came to the dark side members in an instant. With a hand knife, Li Wei directly stunned the dark side members. Although he doesn't care about the problem of not being exposed, he doesn't have time now to play slowly with the people of Anbu. Thinking of this, Li Wei walked directly to Uchiha Station. As soon as he entered Uchiha Station, Li Wei suddenly saw a scene. One by one Uchiha people fell on the ground, with blood stains on their bodies, and they had no breath. These were all ordinary people of the Uchiha clan who were beheaded, but they all became victims in order to fulfill the righteousness of Uchiha Itachi. What a poor man! Li Wei murmured, but he didn't have the slightest feeling of compassion. Because even if there were no Uchiha Itachi, Li Wei would attack them. With a big wave of his hand, the illusory anchor appeared instantly, swimming like a snake, rushing directly to these Uchiha, the body of the tribe. A small group of light, from these peoples. Inside the body, it was hooked out by the illusory anchor. These small light groups are all ability light groups of Zwanyan, but most of them are Yukayu Zwanyan, and the higher level Zwanyan can hardly be seen. When this is inevitable, ordinary Uchiha people can open the writing wheel, which is a good result, and the higher ones are almost the backbone of the Uchiha clan. But Li Wei didn't care, but continued to plunder. Because the things that the anchor of the world plundered, there is a special place. The same things can be integrated with each other. It's like the two-color domineering that Li Wei plundered before. At the beginning, Li Wei plundered many light groups of observation haki and armament haki from some ordinary pirates. These light groups integrate with each other and undergo qualitative changes, and metamorphosis becomes the top two-color domineering. Li Wei believes that the writing wheel eyes in front of them are also the same. As long as the number is large enough, qualitative changes can occur after integrate, and maybe it can directly create a pair of top-level writers. For this reason, Li Wei will plunder these ordinary Uchiha people soon. All the bodies of the Uchiha people in front of Li Wei were plundered by Li Wei. Li Wei keeps going forward, going deeper. On the way, Li Wei did not encounter any obstacles, not a living person. I don't know whether it was all killed by Uchiha Itachi, or was cleaned up by Anbi and Gen S people. But for Li Wei, there is no harm. All the way forward, as long as the Uchiha people who are seen by Li Wei are all hooked by the unreal anchor, there is no mistake. Li Wei didn't know how many members of the Uchiha clan he had looted. When Li Wei quickly walked to the main house of the Uchiha clan, a message came from the spirit of the anchor. The number of light blobs of the writing wheel eyes has reached the limit. Do you want to integrate? Sure enough, Li Wei's prediction is correct. The number of writing wheel eyes has reached the extreme, the same it can metamorphosis. For such an opportunity, Li Wei will naturally not miss it. Okay, proceed to integrate. Li Wei nodded slightly and ordered the anchor spirit. For a time, many small light groups of the writing wheel gathered together and condensed into a big light group. The blob of light changes, transforming into a pair of blood-colored pupils. Among the blood-colored eye pupils, 3 Guyu jade rotates, slowly turning into a complex pattern. This is a kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Thank you for reading this story at mtlarchive.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 71 The Special Eternal Kaleidoscope Writes Round Eyes. 9 more, please subscribe. Time to call back a little bit. What a member of the dark part was knocked out. Yes, Master Naruto. When Li Wei was looting Shaolin in the Hokage building, a member of Anbu wearing an animal mask, half kneeling in front of a white-haired old man. The white-haired old man is wearing a white Hokage robe, a Hokage hat on his head, and his mouth does not forget to hold a pipe, and his face is full of wrinkles. This is the third generation of Naruto Sarutobi. Although Li Wei stunned the Anbu members, he was quickly discovered by the surrounding Anbu members and reported to the third generation of Naruto Sarutobi. Something unexpected happened. Tell Danzo and let Jen, people come over. The third generation of Hokage frowned, and soon had a choice. The Anbu member was knocked out, indicating that there was an unexpected situation, which was not something he allowed to appear. After all, this matter is considered a ugly thing, he must fight quickly. In order to solve this matter as soon as possible, the third generation of Hokage even used the power of Danzo, which is the route closest to Uchiha Station. In the other direction of Uchiha Station, a mysterious man with a spiral mask is frantically harvesting the lives of the Uchiha tribe. Suddenly, the man in the spiral mask stopped the movement in his hand, seeming to feel something, and looked in the direction of the main house. This pupil power is so strong, how can it be possible that there are still such people in the Uchiha clan? The man in the spiral mask murmured, and there was a trace of doubt and shock in the rough voice. In the next moment, the man with the spiral mask came quickly in the direction of the main house, on the other hand, in the main house of Uchiha's resident. A young black-haired man wearing a forbearance suit with 2 tiers, standing in front of a little kid, using the writing wheel, seems to be using illusion to control the child. This is the 2 brothers Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke. At the moment, Uchiha Itachi is using the monthly reading ability to let Sasuke Uchiha see the process of extermination with his own eyes. Ah! The little kid Uchiha Sasuke screamed with a sound, he fainted directly on the ground. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi suddenly turned his head and looked beyond the gate, because he felt a strange and terrifying pupil power outside. Thinking of this, Itachi Uchiha walked directly to the direction outside the gate. Because of the birth of the kaleidoscope writing round eyes, many people lurking in the dark are all being written by the kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Attracted by the powerful pupil power. Regarding this matter, Li Wei is not very clear. At the moment, Li Wei is still studying this pair of newly born kaleidoscope writing round eyes, evolved on the basis of the 3-hook jade, and also metamorphosis again. The pattern is even more complicated. This pair of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes is not an ordinary kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. Li Wei looked at the kaleidoscope in front of him, and muttered in his heart. There is also a difference between a kaleidoscope and a kaleidoscope. Li Wei's pair of kaleidoscopes, not only based on the 3-hook jade, but also evolved into a kaleidoscope writing wheel. Looking at the complexity of the pattern, it is not the basic kaleidoscope writing round eyes, but a more complicated pattern. It seems to be the basis of writing round eyes in the kaleidoscope, and it has evolved again. In other words, this is eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Li Wei murmured. Although he had never seen the eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes, but he was sure that his pair of kaleidoscopes was the eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes. He did not expect his luck to be so good. After this plunder, I actually integrated a pair of eternal kaleidoscope writing wheels. You know, Uchiha's people want to get a kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes, they need to go through a series of training and development. Starting from the 1-go jade writing round eyes, 2 Go Jade and 3 Go Jade writing round eyes, gradually developed, and evolved a kaleidoscope writing round eyes. And there are very few people who can develop a kaleidoscope writing round eyes. As for the eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes, it seems that except for Uchiha Madara and Sasuke Uchiha, one of the future Destiny twins, there are no other people. It can be seen that the eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes is precious. In fact, this situation is also predictable. You know, all Uchiha's clansmen have been looted by Li Wei in all likelihood. This pair of eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes by Li Wei brings together more than 2/3 of the Uchiha family's blood and pupil power. It is conceivable that there will be such a result. To be honest, if it weren't for the way of reincarnation evolution, not only relying on the blood of the Uchiha clan, but also other things, Li Wei feels that relying on these, the pupil power of the Uchiha tribe can evolve the reincarnation But now he has obtained the eternal kaleidoscope to write the reincarnation which is also a good guy. Thinking about this, Li Wei catches it. The light group that lives in the eternal kaleidoscope and writes the round eyes directly presses on my eye socket. The light group and Li Wei's eyes integrate, bringing a cold feeling. Li Wei could feel that his eye nerves seemed to be metamorphosis fast. When Li Wei opened his eyes again, his pupils had already turned into a pair of blood pupils. The blood-colored pupils exuded a strange atmosphere. The black Go Jade, carrying an icy luster. Just one glance, let it all. People trembled for it and didn't dare to look at it. Then, Li Wei used the power of the kaleidoscope, and Li Wei's writing wheel began to change. The three Guya quickly metamorphosis, transforming into a pair of peculiar signs that are like Tai Chi Yin and Yang, turning around and hugging each other. This is exactly Li Wei's kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. Compared with the kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes of the Uchiha clan, Li Wei's kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes are very different from their kaleidoscopes. Li Wei also does not know why is his kaleidoscope writing round eyes like this, but in Li Wei's opinion, there is nothing wrong with this change. Because the more special the logo, the more bizarre his ability is. Feeling calmly, Li Wei quickly realized what his kaleidoscope ability is. Tai Chi 2 rituals divide Yin and Yang, the left eye is Yang, the right eye is Yin. Li Wei's kaleidoscope, the left eye has the ability to repel, and the right eye has the ability to absorb. This is not ordinary suction and repulsion, but a special ability control. And the first control power that appeared was the absorption and rejection of mental power. Li Wei's left eye can absorb mental power, and his right eye can repel mental power. In other words, any future telepathy, spiritual invasion will be invalid for Li Wei. Li Wei can even use the power of the left eye and the mental power of the enemy to counterattack the opponent. In this way, granting ability will have no effect on Li Wei. This is a good thing for Li Wei, because he does not need it. Worried about the troubles related to mental power? Definitely, this is just a preliminary application of his eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes. His kaleidoscope has a more profound ability, which can be extended from his ability. It can be said that this pair of eternal kaleidoscopes of Li Wei has great potential. Who are you? Why do you own the kaleidoscope of our Uchiha clan right round eyes? At this time, a cold voice came from the direction of Uchiha's main house, pulling Li Wei's thoughts back from his random thoughts. Li Wei looked up slightly, and suddenly saw a man wearing a forbearance suit with 2 tiers. Young black-haired man. There is a kaleidoscope picture of the protagonist, you can take a look. Chapter 72 Showdown. Uchiha Attacker lost in seconds. 10 more, please subscribe. Uchiha Attacker stood in front of the gate of the main house, holding a kunao in his hand, looking at Li Wei in front of him very vigilantly. A black windbreaker, surrounded by illusory chains that radiate light, but his eyes are the blood eyes that are unique to the Ch61. And the Guyu watching the other Ch61 is not an ordinary Guyu, but a peculiar one I have never seen before sign. Although he has never seen such a Guyu, he can be sure that this is definitely a kaleidoscope riding round eyes. This mysterious guy is definitely not an ordinary person. When Uchiha Itachi saw Li Wei at this moment, his vigilance was already it has been infinitely magnified. In fact, Uchiha Itachi also knows that there are some strange guys in the dark, staring at the Uchiha clan closely. For example, the man who had recruited him before. The mysterious spiral masked man. The spiral masked man, who is also from the Uchiha clan, also has a kaleidoscope of riding round eyes. But the kaleidoscope logo of the spiral masked man is completely different from the black-haired man in front of me. That is to say, this is a brand new, never before appearing kaleidoscope owner of the Wheel Eye. Exterminate the clan in Uchiha on this night, such a kaleidoscope powerhouse appeared again. I don't know if it is a good thing or a bad thing. Uchiha Itachi's heart is overwhelming. He does not know the origin of the other party, but he knows that the appearance of the owner of the kaleidoscope is extremely it might ruin all his plans, and even rewrite the current pattern. Li Wei didn't know, Uchiha Itachi actually gave birth to this in his heart when he saw his kaleidoscope riding round eyes. Many ideas. However, Li Wei is also slightly curious about Uchiha Itachi. It's definitely, what Li Wei thinks in his mind is just considering whether to capture Uchiha Itachi's Amaterasu and monthly reading. After all, his special black flames and powerful illusions are of great benefit to Li Wei. As for the illusory chain beside Li Wei. After Li Wei entered Uchiha's residence, the illusory chain surrounding him appeared again. On the one hand, Li Wei was to facilitate the harvesting of the blood inheritance boundary of the Uchiha clan, that is, riding round eyes. On the other hand, Li Wei did not intend to hide the existence of unreal chains. After all, he will not stay in the Naruto world for a long time, this is just the source of his plundering ability, so Li Wei is not necessary to hide the existence of the illusory chain. Previously, the illusory chain was hidden on the street. It was also for the convenience of the ordinary residents of Konoha to inquire about the location of the Uchiha clan. If the unreal chain is used on the streets of Naruto world, it is estimated that it will immediately attract the members of the Anbu and cause some unnecessary troubles. At that time, maybe it will still affect the capture of Shaolunyan, then some of the gains outweigh the gains. That's why Li Wei hides the unreal chain. However, now, he has come to Uchiha Station, and he has plundered enough riding wheel eyes, and even integrates into the eternal kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. So now naturally, there is no need to hide it. Really speaking, when he invaded the pirate world for the third time and inquired about the Whitebeard remnant party, his side was also surrounded by illusory chains. Just because of the special nature of the pirate world, some pirates often appear, so it is not so noticeable. Answer my question, who on earth are you? Why do you own the kaleidoscope of my Uchiha clan? You are also a member of my Uchiha clan. Seeing Li Wei's silence, Uchiha Itachi's head wrinkled slightly, and his eyes changed into three hooked jade riding round eyes, and there was a vague tendency to attack. Uchiha Itachi became more and more. I felt that the appearance of Li Wei was very strange. The vigilance is almost at its extreme, and there is the possibility of shooting at any time. If you have to say, you give me my riding wheel. Li Wei's eyes turned slightly, and he slowly said a word. His kaleidoscope of riding round eyes was plundered through illusory anchors, but really speaking, Li Wei didn't do it. The people he looted were all Uchiha people who were killed by Uchiha Itachi. So it's not an exaggeration to say that Uchiha Itachi gave it to him. Nonsense, since you don't want to say it, then I will interrogate it myself. Itachi Uchiha snorted coldly, and his eyes stared. The three black jades spun quickly and began to change. Uchiha Itachi knew that if you want to deal with the owner of the kaleidoscope riding wheel, the only way to use it is the same as the kaleidoscope riding wheel. So, when launching an attack, Uchiha Itachi did not hesitation and directly used the power of the kaleidoscope. Unlike Li Wei, Uchiha Itachi's kaleidoscope riding wheel is just an ordinary kaleidoscope, not an eternal kaleidoscope riding wheel. Therefore, he can't take a look like Li Wei, he is always opening the kaleidoscope to write the wheel eyes. Only when using the knife kaleidoscope to write the wheel eyes, Uchiha Itachi will open the kaleidoscope, otherwise he will only use the three-shaped jade to write the wheel eyes. Because the opening of the kaleidoscope will continue to consume his pupil power and increase the service life of the writing wheel, in an instant, Uchiha Itachi's three-go jade writing wheel eyes change instantly become a sign of a big windmill. Monthly reading. Facing Li Wei, the unknown owner of the kaleidoscope writing wheel, Uchiha Itachi did not hesitation, and used his strongest pupil technique monthly reading. The powerful pupil power burst out in an instant and attacked Li Wei. Come! However, Li Wei didn't have the slightest fear. The Tai Chi yin-yang picture in his blood-colored eyes also began to rotate. You know, Yu-Du is one of the strongest illusions, but it is also known as the strongest mental attack. And Li Wei's eternal kaleidoscope of writing round eyes, specifically to restrain mental attacks. In an instant, a peculiar attraction appeared from Li Wei's right eye. Uchiha Itachi's eruption of the strongest illusion monthly reading was instantly taken by Li Wei. The yin and half fish in the right eye are absorbed. The Tai Chi yin and yang in Li Wei's eyes slowly turning directly in a circle. The next moment, the yang and half fish in Li Wei's left eye burst out with powerful mental power. Fluctuation is exactly the phantom reading that Uchiha Itachi used just now. After the yin and yang bipolar embrace, Li Wei directly returned the power used by Uchiha Itachi to Uchiha Itachi. Shibishin. This is one of the mysteries of Li Wei's eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes. For a moment, the unguarded Uchiha Itachi was directly stunned, and the whole person stood stupidly on the spot, falling into the illusion space of moon reading. In. Puff. A moment later, Uchiha Itachi escaped from the moon reading space, spouting a mouthful of blood, and stained his chest. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi's breath suddenly became languid. Reading the controlled time, it seems to be less than 1 second. But it took a long time for Uchiha Itachi in the moon reading space, and the torture he suffered is unimaginable. It is also rare for Uchiha Itachi feel the power of his pupil skills. At this moment, Uchiha Itachi immediately lost his combat power. And at this time, less than a second has passed since the confrontation between the two. In less than a second, Uchiha Itachi was directly defeated. Chapter 73 suddenly appeared done when the soil retreated. One more, please subscribe. Suffering from the backlash of his strongest pupil technique, Uchiha Itachi knelt on the ground and covered the left eye of the release with one hand, sweating profusely, and his face was very pale. It can be said that after this confrontation, Uchiha Itachi the combat effectiveness was instantly weakened to the extreme. In a short period of time, let alone the kaleidoscope writing round eyes, even the power of the three-go jade writing round eyes, Uchiha Itachi is estimated to be unable to use. It can be seen how deeply wounded Uchiha Itachi is in this confrontation. How is it possible? Who are you? Why can even my monthly reading be controlled in reverse? Although being bitten back by Yu, it caused a deep trauma, but this was incomparable to the shock in Attaka's heart. It was the first time he felt a person with such a terrifying pupil power. Yes, it is. Pupil power. Although Li Wei's kaleidoscope ability is special, the most important thing is pupil power. Li Wei's pupil power is far above Uchiha Itachi, so it can easily suppress Itachi's pupil power. This is inevitable. The blood of the Bo clan followed the limit of the riding wheel eyes. Li Wei harvested more than 2/3, and even directly evolved into the eternal kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. It is normal to have such pupil power. Who am I? This it doesn't matter at all, what you need to know is what I am going to do next. Li Wei said calmly. In the next moment, Li Wei's figure instantly disappeared in place, turned into an afterimage, and rushed to Uchiha Itachi instantly. How could he not take the meat delivered to him? Li Wei wanted to take this opportunity to see if you can capture Uchiha Itachi's kaleidoscope. Uchiha Itachi's face changed drastically, and he wanted to use the instant technique to dodge. However, the backlash of the moon reading was still there. He found that he could not move his body. Tear. At this moment, a man with a spiral mask suddenly appeared, grabbed Uchiha Itachi's shoulder, and pulled it straight back. Only then did Uchiha Itachi escape the danger, and he was able to avoid Li Wei's attack. You are here, that person doesn't know who he is, but he also has a kaleidoscope to write round eyes, and he also used his pupil power to hurt me. Without turning his head back, Uchiha Itachi quickly explained the current situation to the man in the spiral mask. I see, you go in and rest. The man in the spiral mask glanced at Li Wei, and then went directly to his own ability. The space was distorted, and Uchiha Itachi disappeared directly beside the place and was sent to rest in a different space. Shinwei Space's ability is really good. Li Wei looked at the man in the spiral mask in front of him. He definitely knew who the spiral masked man in front of him was. If he guessed correctly, this should be Uchiha's dirt, and the ability he used just now should be the power of the space system. Uchiha's kaleidoscope of dirt is the power of the space system, connecting a different space. You can come and go freely. Who are you? Why do you know me? After hearing Li Wei's words, he hid under the spiral mask with dirt. His face changed drastically. Because he didn't expect that Li Wei could see him for a moment, and he could actually break his ability. What does this mean? It means that Li knows him the real identity. Yes, it is. The real identity, not Uchiha Madara's fake identity. After all, Uchiha Madara's kaleidoscope ability is not divine power. Divine power is his body, Uchiha's ability with soil. That is to say, the other party knows that he is Uchiha's soil. This is too terrible. You know, in the entire ninja world, except for the dead Uchiha Madara, he knows his identity. There should be only one person. Even the Nagato people in Akatsuki didn't know his true identity. So the emotion of bringing the earth suddenly became excited. Move. I know so many things, even things you don't know I know. For example, the truth about the death of your little girlfriend Lin Linear. Li Wei smiled indifferently, stimulating Uchiha to bring soil. He wanted to stimulate soil, let the soil bring hands. Because Li Wei is staring at the power of soil. To be honest, although Li Wei's anchor of the world has risen to gold quality, the space inside the anchor is opened, and items can be stored. But after seeing Uchiha's supernatural power with soil, Li Wei was still a little moved. After all, the space in the anchor can only store items, but Uchiha's supernatural power with soil has many uses. It's definitely, maybe in the future, the anchor of the world will continue to upgrade, and the space within the anchor may get more powerful ability, but that's for the future. If the power of God can be captured now, Li Wei is also very willing. It's definitely, and Li Wei also knows that it is not easy to seize the ability of Uchiha's soil. Because the ability with soil is very special, the ability belonging to the space system has the effect of ignoring the attack, etc. If you want to reveal the flaws of the divine power, you only have to let the soil attack actively, and then at the moment of the attack with the soil, anti-killing with soil. This is Li Wei's idea. For this reason, Li Wei will actively reveal some things, wanting to stimulate the nerves with soil. Damn, tell me everything you know. Sure enough, after hearing Ye Yuanlin's name, the mood swings with the earth became very intense. The kaleidoscope writing wheel opened instantly, and the divine power was activated, and the earth rushed towards Li Wei. Coming! Li Wei's eyes lit up. I am fully prepared in an instant. I want to take the soil at the moment of the attack with the soil. Mu Dun Shuhei is born. At this moment, a voice sounded not far away. A figure wearing an animal mask and an obscure costume appeared, and his hands quickly formed a seal, and then pressed on the ground. Li Wei and the ground where the soil is located, a crazy growth strains of vines and big trees attacked Li Wei and Dato. When the battle between Li Wei and Dato broke out, it was interrupted by this sudden attack of Mu Dun. Uchiha took the dirt directly. Step back, use divine power's ability to blur yourself, go through the big trees, and come to a roof. It's not the time to fight now. Because Mu Dun interrupted the attack, Uchiha took the soil to calm down a bit, not as impulsive as just now. It is not the time to fight, and his mission this time is to help Uchiha attack and complete the night of genocide. Now that the people from Anbu have appeared, it is estimated that the people from Hokage will come soon. So he can't stay here anymore. We will meet again. Uchiha took a deep look at Li Wei with the soil, as if to impress Li Wei's face deeply in his heart. The next moment, the divine power was activated, the space was distorted, and Uchiha's figure with soil slowly disappeared in place, leaving the village of Konoha directly. Looking at the disappearing Uchiha belt soil, Li Wei was silent for a while, and then turned to look at the Anbu member who used Idaki Dun. Damn fellow, actually interrupted my good deeds. Li Wei was very upset. Originally, he wanted to take this opportunity to directly capture the power of the soil. As a result, he didn't expect that because of the appearance of this dark part member, the soil was restored to his senses and retreated directly. Li Wei was very upset. In this way, he will not seize the power of God today, he will directly seize Mu Dun ability, and create a pair of reincarnation eyes. Chapter 74 Capture Mu Dun, 3 Generations of Shock. 2 more, please subscribe. Using Mu Dun ability, Li Wei naturally knows who is the member of Anbu who interrupted him in the fight with soil. If he remembers correctly, this should be Yamato who replaced Kakashi in leading the 7th squad after Kakashi was injured. The current Yamato is a member of the Anbu directly under Hokage, codenamed Tenzo, not the future one. Yamato. However, he is the only ninja who can use Mu Dun in the first generation of Naruto Senjima after the first generation of Naruto Senjima. Because of the cells of the first generation of Naruto Senjima during his childhood, he was lucky enough to inherit part of the first generation Mu Dun's blood inheritance boundary. It can be said that this is a weakened version of the Kyunshizujian, and it can probably use 1/5 of the wooden escape ability of the Kyunshizujian. It's definitely, this is just Mu Dun's ability. As for the overall strength, Yamato is far inferior to Jian Shaozujian. As for Li Wei's words that he wants to capture Mu Dun and create a pair of reincarnation eyes, it is basically Qi words. Because Li Wei himself is not sure whether the birth of the reincarnation eye is just to gather the blood inheritance boundaries of the Thousand Hands and the Uchiha clan. After all, when he watched Hokage back then, he was still young and long time ago, so Li Wei is not very clear. He was very upset just because the battle was interrupted. Li Wei was very upset, so someone had to pay the price. This person is Yamato. Definitely, this is also an attempt. If you capture Mu Dun's ability, you will be able to give birth to the reincarnation eye, which is considered a benefit. Li Wei doesn't mind trying something like this. Li Wei doesn't bother to talk nonsense when he thinks of this, and his figure disappears instantly. Turned into an afterimage, shot directly at Yamato. Momo 50 times faster. In an instant, Li Wei came to Yamato. No, Mu Dun. Yamato's complexion changed drastically. Jian quickly wanted to show Mu Dun. At this time, Li Wei slightly raised his head and looked into Yamato's eyes. At this moment, Yamato was completely stunned, his sight was covered by a pair of bloody eyes. It seems that between heaven and earth, there is only this pair of blood-colored eyes, and there is nothing else. Illusion. Although Li Wei has not specifically studied illusion, but only relying on the instinct of kaleidoscope to write round eyes, Li Wei can make Yamato fall into illusion. In the world, I can't extricate myself. Boom! Li Wei throws a punch. With the fist of the armed sex tyrant, it hit Yamato's chest fiercely. With a boom, Yamato's body. The body flew directly. I don't know how many knocked down buildings and trees directly hit the ground. With one blow, Yamato was seriously injured and lay on the ground to move. Can't play. Although he has the eternal kaleidoscope to write round eyes, Li Wei is more accustomed to fist solving, because this is the fastest way. A little wave, the illusory anchor flies out, pierces into Yamato's body, and draws a light cyan light group. Blood succession boundary, high-level Mu Dun. The spirit of the anchor sends a message back to Li Wei. The ability captured from Yamato. However, Yamato at the moment's Mu Dun seems to be poorly developed. But for Li Wei, this is barely enough to complete his experiment. After thinking about this, Li Wei is ready to try to integrate the two kinds of blood succession boundaries, Mu Dun and Xiaolunyan, and try to see if he can get some Samsara Eye. Who are you? At this moment, more than a dozen figures wearing animal masks rushed over and fell around Li Wei, surrounding Li Wei. These are all members of Anbu. The two people headed by, one is wearing a white Hokage, an old man with a robe, a Hokage hat, and a wrinkled face. The other is an old man with a strap tied to his right eye and holding a cane. These two are the third generation of Naruto Sarutobi, and Jin, leader of the organization Shimura Danzo. After knowing that something happened at Uchiha Station, the two immediately rushed to see the scene in front of them. Uchiha Itaka lost track, while Yamato was lying in a pit with a weak breath, but there was a mysterious figure with an illusory chain around his body. No matter how you look at this situation, it's not right. Writing round eyes. And it's a kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Who are you? I have never seen you in the Uchiha clan. Compared with the three generations of Hokage, Shimura Danzang's face changed drastically after seeing Li Wei's eyes. Because he has recognized the identity of Li Wei's blood eyes. Shimura Danzang's mood surged, and the ups and downs were great, but the eyes deep down, there is a trace of greed. Greed. He didn't expect that he would actually be here and see the owner of a kaleidoscope writing round eyes. You know, at this time, Danzo already knows the ability of the kaleidoscope writing round eyes of Shishui. A pair of kaleidoscopes writes the lure of the will eye to Danzo. There is no need to say more about the power of confusion. Some mice are here, it seems that I can't worry about experimenting. Ignoring Danzo's clamor, Li Wei frowned slightly, his eyes scanned the surrounding Anbu members, and finally fell on the third generation of Hokage. He wasn't afraid of these Konoha's ninja, but there were too many rats, and sometimes it was annoying. What he wants to do most now is find a quiet place and complete his experiment instead of spending time with these guys here. At this point, Li Wei clenched his palm into a fist and slammed into the atmosphere. Punch! Click! The atmosphere shattered and turned into a terrifying impact, rushing towards the surroundings. The rumbling earthquake, centered on Li Wei, spread to the surrounding in the form of shockwave. The surrounding dark members suddenly people turn their backs on their backs. Li Wei ignores them and directly mobilizes the ability of the anchor of the world, ready to leave the world of Naruto. Yes, Li Wei is ready to leave the world of Naruto temporarily. On the one hand, he wants to find a quiet place to try his own reincarnation birth. The experiment, his lair Marvel world, is undoubtedly quieter. On the other hand, the gains of coming to Naruto world today are not small, enough for him to digest for a while. After he finishes the experiment, he will come again. Thinking about this, a burst of light appeared, enveloping Li Wei's body. When the light disappears, Li Wei has disappeared in front of everyone and left the Naruto world directly. Only the three generations of Naruto and Shimura Danzo who were in shock are left behind. It is foreseeable that after Li Wei leaves, the entire ninja world will be shook. Just because of Li Wei's pair of eternal kaleidoscope riding round eyes. Because the appearance of kaleidoscope riding round eyes is often accompanied by a bloody storm, the Marvel world Li Wei's villa has a burst of light, and Li Wei once again returns to the Marvel world. If the invasion is successful, do you remember the coordinates of Naruto world? Okay, record the coordinates of Naruto world. Without any hesitation, Li Wei nodded directly. This invasion has gained a great deal, but it is not considered complete. First, write down the coordinates of the Naruto world, and if there is a chance to continue the invasion in the future, maybe you can get something good. After the anchor spirit records the coordinates of the Naruto world, Li Wei just left the bedroom. Tell Sky that he is back, stay with Skywin for a while, and take a break. After a short while, Li Wei came to the underground laboratory, ready to start his experiment. Chapter 75: The Birth of the Pseudo-Reincarnation I. 3 more, please subscribe. In the underground laboratory of the Marvel World Villa, Li Wei asked the smart butler to start the defense project on Friday, and then began to prepare for the experiment. Summoned an illusory anchor, removed the Mu-Dun light group, and then pressed it to his heart, allowing his body to absorb the light group. After a while, Li Wei had obtained the high-level Mu-Dun ability. It took about half a day. Time, familiar with Mu-Dun's ability. After he was completely familiar with it, Li Wei was ready to try to integrate Mu-Dun and the ability of riding round eyes. The ability captured by the Unreal Anchor has a feature, that is, the same ability has the possibility of integrating each other. Just like Li Wei has captured many Uchiha people's riding round eyes, and these riding round eyes successfully integrated into the eternal kaleidoscope riding round eyes. Mu-Dun and riding round eyes are not the same kind of ability, but both of them are blood inheritance limits, and they also have special origins, and there is a certain possibility of integration. This matter, Li Wei has already learned about the spirit of the anchor, so Li Wei plans to try one fan. Thinking about this, Li Wei controls the anchor of the world and is ready to integrate Mu-Dun and eternal kaleidoscope riding round eye. For a while, the entire underground laboratory became quiet. For a while, when he opened his eyes again, Li Wei's eyes were a little weird. This is actually the result. Li Wei let out a sigh of emotion, mobilizing the power of the two. The eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes appeared, and then slowly changed, turning into a pair of purple eyes. A pair of lavender pupils slowly appeared in Li Wei's eyes. There are several circles in the purple pupils, and the circles are not ruled. Slightly distorted and vaguely in the form of Tai Chi. This is the result of Li Wei integrating two kinds of blood following the limit. Li Wei's pair of purple eyes are somewhat similar to the legendary reincarnation eye, but Li Wei can be sure that this is not the real reincarnation eye. After thinking about it carefully, Li Wei understood what was going on. The ability plundered by the anchor of the world is essentially different from the original ability of the owner, and more like the origin of plundering ability. For example, he looted shock fruit from Whitebeard. But to be more specific, what he looted should belong to the law of vibration. This, Li Wei learned from the anchor spirit very early. The Naruto world plunder this time is somewhat similar. Although he plundered Mu Dun's ability from Yamato, more specifically, what he plundered should be Mu Dun Shueji boundary who belongs to the Senjujuan. Because Yamato's Mu Dun is derived from the cells between the Qian Shao pillars, Li Wei is equivalent to using Yamato as a mediator to obtain the origin of the Qian Shao pillars from the cells of the Sen Shao pillars. And the true origin of the Qian Shao Zujian is the power of Azura, the second son of the six Dao immortals. In other words, Li Wei inadvertently gained the power of Azura. On the other hand, his riding wheel ability, although not it comes from Uchiha Madara, but it is the most fundamental blood boundary of the Uchiha clan. And the great cause of riding round eyes and 6 ways. Inextricably linked. Even if Indra's bloodline has become extremely thin, but he has captured too many eyes of the riding wheel. The accumulation of small amounts leads to qualitative changes. Among Li Zhu's many riding rounds, he has obtained a trace of Indra origin. In other words, Li Wei's rating ability has the origin of Ashura, and a trace of Indra's origin. For this reason, Li Wei integrates these two kinds of abilities and obtains an existence similar to the reincarnation eye. Accurately speaking, this should be regarded as a pseudo-reincarnation eye. Li Wei murmured and came to a conclusion. The ability he obtained, although not the real eye of reincarnation, is infinitely close to the eye of reincarnation. This is the result after Li Wei integrates. That's why Li Wei's expression is so weird. He didn't expect that he would make things happen. Such a thing. Pseudo-reincarnation eyes, I don't know if there is any difference compared with real reincarnation eyes. Li Wei fell into deep thought, thinking about this problem. In fact, if you want to know the specific situation, just try your own ability, and it will be clear. Action is not as good as the heart. What Li Wei thinks is.so. Thinking about this, Li Wei flashed away and went directly to the sky above the villa. At the moments Li Wei, with purple eyes and black hair, with a majestic aura, stands out of thin air, standing barefoot on the sky. There is no ability that uses the fruit of the phoenix. It seems that what lies at Li Wei's feet is not invisible air, but real land. This is the floating ability of reincarnation eyes, and Li Wei's pseudo-reincarnation eyes also have such power. Look for a direction, and Li Wei flies away in an instant, flew directly to remote places, and even flew out of Niuyu's land boundary. In a moment, Li Wei had arrived on an unmanned lake, standing barefoot on the surface of the water, as if walking on the water. Observation Haki spread and observed that there are no humans in the surrounding area for several kilometers. Only then did Li Wei prepare to try the ability of the pseudo-reincarnation eye. First of all, the first one, Shen Luo Tian Zheng. Li Wei opened his hands and posed a large font, directly activating the ability of the pseudo-reincarnation eye. The next moment, a terrifying repulsion burst out from Li Wei. A rumbling sound, with Li Wei as the center, the terrifying repulsion burst out instantly. The water surface under Li Wei's feet was instantly opened up in a semicircular space. It's like an invisible giant ball falling on the water. The lake water leaked out frantically, rushing to the surroundings, turning the water surface under Li Wei's feet into a big giant pit. After Li Wei regained the ability, the lake water began to flow backwards and rushed to the huge puddle at the foot of Li Wei. This is the first attempt of the pseudo-reincarnation eye, but Li Wei is somewhat satisfied. Because of this power, it is the same as the god that Tian Daopen used in the village of Kanaha Luo Tianzheng. There is already a similar file size, scale. After that, Li Wei tried various applications using pseudo-reincarnation eyes. After a short while, Li Wei stopped. At the moment the lake at the foot of Li Wei has become completely unrecognizable, like being bombed over and over again. After some treatment, Li Wei went straight back to his residence. In general, my current pseudo-reincarnation eye is roughly similar to Nagato's ability. Li Wei murmured, summarizing the ability of his pseudo-reincarnation eye. Compared with the real reincarnation eye, Li Wei's pseudo-reincarnation eye still has some gaps. At least Li Wei can't use such powerful ability as Uchiha Madara. But the ability of Li Wei's pseudo-reincarnation eye is somewhat similar to Nagato's ability. Whether it is Shenluo Tianzheng or Vientian Tianyan ability, Li Wei can use it. This is the case of Li Wei's pseudo-reincarnation eye. If Li Wei can evolve his pseudo-reincarnation eye into a real reincarnation eye, he will be able to use the true power of reincarnation eye just like Uchiha Madara. It seems that he will need to go to Naruto world again in the future. Just as Li Wei was thinking about the future, Li Wei suddenly raised his head and looked in the direction of the door. Interesting, give a guy, dare to show up in front of me. Li Wei murmured and said a word. Because an unexpected person is here. Coming.